In Austin, I'm Quita Culpepper. A federal court ruling in Arkansas is reigniting the debate over THC in Texas. Here's Daniel Perot.
A budding battle between the state's top two leaders over THC.
There's no justification saying that we can't ban it.
In his veto of Senate Bill 3, Governor Greg Abbott cited potential legal challenges, comparing the bill to a similar law in Arkansas. That law was blocked as a court battle played out, deciding if it conflicted with the 2018 federal farm bill, which legalized hemp containing less than 0.3% THC. But this week, judges ruled the Arkansas law is legal. Cannabis attorney Michelle Donovan.
What Arkansas did is they banned hemp derived above 0.3% THC, where Texas was nothing at all.
The Arkansas law also has a carve-out to allow the transportation of hemp products, something states explicitly cannot prohibit under the 2018 Farm Bill. The Texas bill didn't have a carve-out, a concern Governor Greg Abbott raised in his veto.
So when you line up the 2018 Farm Bill in conjunction with the Arkansas's state hemp bill, they're in a line.
In a social media post, Governor Greg Abbott reacted to the Arkansas law being upheld, writing, "Even though the Arkansas law didn't have the same legal defects Senate Bill 3 did, it's still been tied up in court for 2 years. Time, he says, Texas can't afford to wait."
You can regulate what you sell in your state, but you can't change what that Farm Bill already states.
During a news conference on Monday, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick weighed in on the Arkansas case. He predicted the appeals court would uphold it.
We can ban, we can regulate, and be more stringent than federal law.
As the lieutenant governor makes the case for a ban, Governor Greg Abbott says he'd like to see stricter regulation, something even hemp industry leaders are on board with.
If it's not regulated, it's not enforced. And that's the problem. So you have to create a regulatory framework to enforce it.
And that was Daniel Perot reporting. THC regulations will be a big item on the agenda for state lawmakers when they go back to the Capitol for a special session, which starts July 21st. Williamson County is going to spend more than $1 million on new voting equipment. The county plans to switch from using ballots that have barcodes and can be marked electronically to ballots that voters will have to mark by hand with a pen.
So we're trying to get ahead of any supply chain issues, so that's why we're moving very quickly. ES&S has guaranteed us about a 70-day delivery date, so we are trying to implement this for the November election. That way that we can work out any, kinks in the system before 2026, where we're back-to-back in elections. So.
Williamson County officials say they've received guidance from the Secretary of State on this switch to ballot on demand. And they also say other Texas counties are already using this system. The Williamson County Elections Administrator says her team is working to make this transition as seamless as possible for voters. Concerns are growing after another glass panel fell from a high-rise in downtown Austin. It happened Wednesday at the ATX Tower on West 6th, but panels have fallen off that building 2 other times. Brianna Perez has details.
Definitely not a good thing. I don't know how that keeps happening.
Neighbors steering clear after a glass panel fell from the ATX Tower for the 3rd time this year.
You're just walking down the street. It's not really something I think I'm risking my life doing, but whenever you have panels falling off buildings, that could very much so be the case.
One panel fell Wednesday afternoon, but according to the Austin Fire Department, crews dealt with 2 similar issues on March 15th and March 22nd.
The first time I walked by, they had the street shut down, cones everywhere, and they were cleaning up the shattered glass in the middle of the street.
Neighbors say now they'll think twice when walking nearby.
Makes me think I might take 7th or just stick to the very north side of 6th Street whenever I walk by the building.
In a statement, a spokesperson for Ryan Companies, the contractor for the ATX Tower, told KVUE the company was notified Wednesday about a broken glass panel at the construction site. Their team cleaned the area and no one was hurt. But they told us, quote, "We are conducting a thorough investigation into this incident to determine the cause. We are committed to maintaining the highest standards of safety for our employees, subcontractor partners, and the surrounding community." Still, neighbors say more needs to be done to fix the problem.
What makes me think, is this the manufacturer? Is this the design of the system that comes together? It's really, I haven't noticed it happening on other buildings around downtown.
Someone's got to be on top of that. I mean, that stuff falling off buildings, it cannot happen, especially with people walking on these sidewalks. And if you're encouraging tourism and encouraging people to get out in the city, you can't have that hidden danger.
In downtown Austin, Brianna Pettis, KVUE News.
The company plans to install a covered walkway over the sidewalk outside the tower as it investigates what's causing the panels to fall. Honor Flight Austin recognizes Central Texas veterans with special trips to Washington, D.C. to honor their service. Bob Buckaloo introduces us to a Vietnam War veteran who says that his honor flight journey changed his life.
We're in the living room of Vietnam War veteran Phil David, and Phil has a story to tell us about war and forgiveness.
I was 17 years old when I enlisted in the Marine Corps. After being in Nam for a month, I was made a squad leader of 60 mortars. I had to grow up fast. Some days were just plain out bad. You didn't have incoming rounds being fired on you. The rain, you were stuck in rice paddies. I turned 18 years old and I'm over here killing folks. And what was one of the 10 commandments? Thou shalt not kill. It took me a long time to accept what I had done.
Phil's journey to acceptance, to making peace with himself about all he had seen and done in Vietnam, began a few years ago with an honor flight visit to Washington, D.C. Like many war veterans, Phil was experiencing severe PTSD, but a chance encounter at the Vietnam War Memorial changed his life.
When I went to the wall, and I'm glad I had this other vet, World War II, Charles Brown. I remember he had his son with him. And as I approached the wall, I put my hand up on it, and his son came over. He put his arm around me, and we said a prayer. I'll never forget that.
Phil David, would you come up, please? Phil.
Recently, Phil got a surprise. He was named Honor Flight Austin's Vietnam War Ambassador. His mission is to get all veterans from World War II, the Korean War, the Cold War, and the war in Vietnam who served in the military in May 1975 or any time before that date to join Honor Flight on future trips to our nation's capital.
Thank you so much. Going on that honor flight, they allowed me to open up my heart, open up my mind, just say, hey, Phil, you are somebody, and we do care. And that's what our honor flight is.
Bob Buckaloo, KVUE News.
What a great story. And those are the headlines in Austin. I'm Quita Culpepper.